Hello everyone, welcome to the session of Classmore. Today's topic is incentives for MSMEs and startups. So let us start. So these are the contents for today's presentation. Overview in incentives for the startups. Overview in incentives for MSMEs. GEM and TRADE, these are the two important portals by the government. And we'll also touch base on the corporate tax rates for different type of companies. Okay, let us move to the first topic. Overview of startups in India. So startup has become a fuel for Indian economy. In order to boost the entrepreneurship, Government of India has started various schemes, and we have seen a good ecosystem has been evolved in India in last 10 years. So if you look at the overall recognized startups in India, we have around 80,000 recognized startups in India. The total job creation so far by the startups is 7 lakh, around 7 lakh 68,000. We have more than 108 unicorns now in India. When we say unicorns, the companies where the valuations are more than $1 billion. We now have a robust ecosystem. We have private equity players, we have venture capitalists, we have tax incentives, advisory programs, awards, etc. In 2022, startups have raised $24 billion funding, so again a very significant amount. And we can also see that now the startups are getting a wider scope and they're not limited to one particular industry. Now, what are the key conditions for a company to get recognized as a startup? So these are the conditions. First of all, the time of the company. So a company, so first of all, it should be a private limited company or a partnership firm or limited liability partnership. But in practical, if we talk about the nature, it should be either private limited company or a limited liability company because these are incorporated companies. So partnership firm does not get most of the benefits. So it is advisable to introduce yourself as a private limited company or a limited liability company, limited liability partnership. Now moving to the second condition, the any company or any startup can remain with the status of startups up to 10 years. After 10 years, it will lose its status. So that's the maximum limit. Third, this startup should work on the innovation, improvement of existing products, services, and processes, and it should have potential to generate employment and create wealth. And the maximum turnover limit for a startup is 100 crores. So if it crosses 100 crores in any previous financial year, then it will lose the status of the startup. And it should not be formed by splitting up or reconstruction of existing business. Now, what are the tax and other incentives for the startups? The first one is ATIC and the income tax holidays that they are getting. Especially for the startups, we have a tax holiday for which is available for 3 consecutive years out of the first 10 years of its corporation. As I mentioned earlier, after 10 years, the startup will lose its status. But within that, those 10 years, company can choose 3 consecutive financial years for the tax holidays. And but there is a condition that it must be registered with the DPIIT and the interministerial board set up by DPIIT. So these are two departments where you need to have approvals and recognition, and the company must be recognized registered before after 1/4/2016, but before 31st March 2023. Second one is the angel tax exemption. As we know that these startups generally issue equity shares to the other individuals of the company. So any excess of value raised by the startups over fair market value of shares, then whatever is the difference that is exempt from tax. But for that exemption, the company needs to file with DPIIT, and there is an approval required from DPIIT. And the third one is the ESOP tax. So basically, Government of India deferred the ESOP tax for 5 years from the exercise date or the sale of share or exit of employees, whichever is earlier. There is also a facility provided to the startup that they can do a self-certification for 3 environmental laws and 6 labor laws, so they don't need any special approval for that, so they can self-certify for those areas. They also get rebates on the IP because these startups are doing some innovation, so they generally have a lot of IPs. So their fees are 80% exempt if they're registered with, again, TPIIT as I mentioned. And their winding up process is faster. So we have a fast track exit, so they can exit within 90 days. So these are the benefits for the startups. Now let us move to the next part. MSMEs. So MSMEs basically micro, small, medium enterprises. So which are, I think, the most significant part of Indian economy. We have around 6.3 crore MSMEs in India, out of which 1.4 crore are registered. Uttar Pradesh, the state of Uttar Pradesh, have highest number of MSMEs. Andhra Pradesh is also having a good rank. It contributes 50% of the export of India, and contribution to GDP, you just look at that, 32% is the contribution to GDP by MSMEs. And they're generating an employment of over 11 crore. So you can just see what is the importance of MSMEs for Indian economy. Now, what is the criteria to define an MSME? So there are two criteria basically. One is investment and another is turnover. So if you look at the micro, if you have investment up to 1 crore and turnover up to 5 crore, then it will be considered as micro. If you have investment up to 10 crore and turnover up to 50 crore, then it will be small. And if you have investment up to 50 crore and the turnover up to 250 crore, then it would be um, the medium enterprise. And this revision has been done from 1st July 2020. Earlier, the limits were lower. Now, what are the other benefits available to MSMEs? They can get collateral-free loans from the banks. They can get the subsidy on patent registration. They have overdraft interest rate exemption, industrial promotion subsidy eligibility, and very important, they do have protection for any kind of bad debts because they have a maximum 45 days credits. So all companies have to also submit a particular form where they're showing outstanding with MSMEs, which is a kind of deterrent raised by the government of India to safeguard MSMEs for any kind of delayed payment. So, and there is also a penal interest if in case there is any due with the MSMEs and the company is not paying that, so there will be a penal interest. And MSMEs also get some benefits from the states like fewer electricity bills. They also get ISO certification charges, reimbursements, special contribution on international trade fairs, some waiver on the stamp duty. So these are all the benefits which are available to the MSME. But again, these MSMEs have to register themselves. So these companies have to register themselves as an MSME on the Udyam portal, and they once they register, they can get the status of MSME. Now let us discuss the two important portals, GEM and TRED. So GEM is basically government e-marketplace. You can just think about as a Amazon or something like that, which government has created as a marketplace for the startups. It is a kind of procurement platform launched in 2016. All central government, state government, and public sector undertaking can procure from this portal, right? So, and there is a condition, like there is some kind of enforcement here that 25% of all the purchases from these departments should be from MSMEs. And for seller, there is no registration fee. and it's 100% owned by the government. So this is a marketplace created by the government for the startup, so that there is enough there are enough customers for the startups, and they are getting government customers as well. Now, talking about trades, which is trade receivable discounting scheme, we know that MSMEs are like small players. Sometimes their payments do not come on time, and this is something hit on their balance sheet. Their account receivables are like they have bad debts. So trade is one useful or very important tool where this is an online exchange, right? So this is an online portal which helps the MSMEs to discount their account receivables easily online, and it helps them to increase their liquidity, help in having a better working capital, improve their cash flows, and also reduce the disputes. Now, coming to the last section of the presentation, which is corporate tax rates. So there are certain exemptions or certain lower rates which are provided by the government of India. For example, in the first section, you can see for the manufacturing entities which started their operation from 1/10/19 but before 31st March 2023, then they can choose to have a lower rate of 15%, but they will not get all other exemptions or other benefits provided by the government. So it will be a straightforward 15% tax rate they need to choose and that they need to pay. And in case companies do not want to claim any exemption deduction, so they can go with 22% tax rate, and companies having turnover below 400 crore, then it will be 25. So these are the small companies where government has given a special tax rate of 25%, and for others it is 30%. So if for a normal company the rate is 30%, and any company which is having a turnover below 400 crore called a small company, then it is 25%, and then there are 15% and 22%, especially for the manufacturing concerns. So these are the corporate tax rates available today, and yeah, this is it. So I hope this session helps you to understand the concept of MSMEs and the startups and what are the benefits available to them. Thank you so much.